listening to. I say you are listening to. You are absolutely listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
Goosebumps again. Yeah, give me goosebumps. Well, thank you very, very much to all of our friends down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around the world. Thank you for tuning in to the George Espinlove Show that comes to you live Monday through Friday from the Funny Farm. That's right, the Funny Farm. It's in a place called Our World. We have no idea where that is. We don't have a mailing address. We don't even have a mailbox. But we do have email. How about that? And we are so thankful to you that have been emailing us with your comments and your kind words and so on and so forth. Keep them coming. George C.E., that's George C.E. at Comcast.net. And we'll fire them back at you just as quick as we can. That email again, georgece at Comcast.net. We have a very, very somber show tonight. It's a subject that many, far too many people just refuses to discuss. There's a stigma attached to that word. But we have a man tonight by the name of Carl David out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that's going to be speaking to us about suicide, the prevention of suicide, and because his family experienced it, he's going to share with us how men and women, boys and girls can deal with such a tragedy. We're going to bring him on right about now. Charlie, hit my right button over there. Thank you, sir. Carl, welcome to the George Espinlove Show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here with you tonight.
I wonder if you would give us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I am a third-generation fine art dealer in Philadelphia in our now fourth-generation family-owned and operated business, the David Art Gallery. I'm also a writer. My first book, although I couldn't put a composition together to save my life in high school because I just couldn't see it, actually wound up writing my first article at Oglethorpe College while I was down there finishing up my third and fourth year. I had a scathing report about the food in the cafeteria, so they wouldn't let me sign my name to it, but that was really my first foray into writing. And in 1981, I wrote Collecting and Care of Fine Art, which was published for me by Crown in New York. I had to tell the truth, being in the industry, about what was going on with all the investment hype, and told my brother I was going to write this book. We gave all these collecting seminars and everything else, and he said, Dad, do it. So I did. I got a lot of flack from people for telling the truth, but you know what? That's who I am, and if they can't live with themselves and put their head down at night, that's not my problem. My latest book is called Baderfield, How My Family Survived Suicide, and it's really a nonfiction family saga. Having lost a brother to suicide when I was 16, he was 22. This thing wore on me and it grated on me, and I just in the book, which started out as homage to my dad, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling, I started it because he was my hero and he meant everything to me. We were a real close family, and I wanted to memorialize him since he was gone, and the kids I was going to have someday that I didn't yet have would never know how incredible this human being was. And I needed them to know that, not just from my telling them, but from showing them through my words, and so they always have a permanent record of this hero of mine. And as the years went on, and it took several decades to get this book complete, I had to go back and relive a lot of pain. My wife said to me one day, if it's just too painful, don't do it. And I said, no, I have to. I start something, I've got to finish it, and this is something that I've got to do. And she said, well, don't intellectualize then, because if you do, you'll lose your readers. I'm not getting it. I'm not feeling any emotion. So I said, okay, and I went back and dug my heels in, and the tear-stained, typewritten pages came to life, and I knew what had been missing before. It was the emotion, but it was difficult. And, now I'm reaching out with the book, trying to hopefully raise awareness to the issue of suicide and how devastating it is to not just the person who's gone, but their family and friends they leave behind. Leaves a wake of horror forever in its path, and you don't get over it. You just learn to live with it as best you can. So I'm an art dealer, and I'm a writer. I'm a musician. I write music, and I've recorded several things that someday I'll put together on a CD, and I don't know if I'll ever publish it, but it doesn't really matter. So that's who I am. If any other questions you want to point to me, I'm happy to answer them.
And you're not rambling, Carl. Listen, I tell people, my listeners probably get tired of me saying this. I listen for people's heartbeat. If I can hear a heartbeat, I can feel the passion. I can feel that person coming out of themselves and into me and into the audience. And I already hear your heartbeat. So please, don't think you were rambling. You weren't.
Okay.
You've gripped us right from the get-go. That word, that word suicide, every one of us, I'm sure, knows of someone that has committed suicide or someone that knows someone, but it's touched all of us at one point in time in our life, no doubt. Maybe not as hard as others, but I can remember when I was a young fella, and I can even bring it up until today, there's a stigma attached to that word. And where I came from, when that would happen, it would be whispered in the background. No one would talk about it right out front. Is it still like that today?
No, it's funny you should say that, because when I went through this and I was 16 years old, I heard those whispers, and I saw them when I went back to school. The looks that I got from the kids walking down the hallway, like, that's him. He's the one whose brother killed himself. Nobody would say it, but it was there, and that stigma is absolutely correct. There was something just not recognized. People would look the other way. Nobody would talk about it. It was a secret that they would bury, and just as if it didn't happen. It was an ugly word. It was dirty. It was an act that was repugnant. Yeah, and sure, it was all of those things, but, what the hell? I mean, people go through it. We're not criminals. This is something that was done, and you have to deal with it. And in the 1960s, when this happened, it was 1965, October 14th, I can tell you almost to the minute. It just was, first of all, it was incomprehensible. I mean, our world went black in an instant because it was just so inconceivable. We had the idyllic 1960s family, and this thing just blindsided us out of nowhere. But the stigma was definitely there. Now, today, with the advent of, I don't know whether it's just more awareness, education, this has become an issue because suicide's almost at epidemic levels that has been dealt with. I mean, there are any number of causes, if you will, or stimuli that'll cause this act. And, some are drug-related, some are just mental illness, some are just desperation, and some are just a temporary, fleeting moment where someone just really doesn't think. And it is recognized today. I mean, there's suicide hotlines, and there's a lot of help out there that wasn't out there, in decades before. I mean, but now it's an entity unto itself, and there are so many. I mean, how's this? 1 million people a year worldwide take their life. More than homicide, more than breast cancer, more than auto accidents. I mean, that is a staggering statistic, and it's just it's getting worse. It's growing and growing, and yeah, there's more help out there, but proportionally, the acts are increasing.
I read those figures: 1 million people per year worldwide, 38,364 Americans. That makes it the number tenth leading cause of death, and that's only the ones that are documented and verified, right?
That's correct. It doesn't count the ones that aren't verified. It doesn't count the ones that attempted it who fortunately didn't succeed, and that number is 4 times greater than the actual number of successes.
And then when it was broke down, and this really rattled me. That averages out to 3,000 people per day.
Yep.
That is staggering.
Yeah, that's like wiping out a small town. I mean, that is just, when you think about it, that is staggering.
Yeah, because here in the little town of Laurel, Delaware, I think we're just a few shy of 3,000. So that means in one day, our whole community here in Laurel, Delaware, would be completely gone. That just it blows me away.
Yeah, that's a pretty scary thought. When you put it into perspective like that, because everybody has a neighborhood they live in, and some of the neighborhoods have less than 3,000 people, some have 5,000, some have a lot more. But you can relate to it when you put it into a standard like that.
When these things happen, and before I go any further, tell us where we can get your book.
The book is available. We started to run it through bookstores early on, and we realized that was not the way to do this. We wanted more of a social media effect. So it's on Amazon. It's in the Apple iBookstore. It's on the Kindle, the Nook, Kobo, and you can just Google Bader Field by Carl David, and it'll come up in a myriad of places. It's also in about 60 other worldwide digital markets, so it's available anywhere in the world. And I think the download price is like $7.99 for the most part, which is great. And it's instantaneous, and you have it. It's available also at my publisher, who is nightingalepress.com. I mean, there's so many places. If I were to go find this, you can also order it soft copy, and I think it's $15 or $16. I've bought any number of them, and I've given them out in different to different organizations and people that I think it would help. But I guess the easiest way to get it is just if you've got a computer, just Google Bader Field by Carl David, and even on my website, which is carledavid.com. I think there's a link there to click on it, and it's out there, it's available, and I have to tell you, even though it sounds like it's a depressing topic, and the topic itself is very upsetting, the book is very inspirational. It's very upbeat. It's how we went through this and how we all managed to survive it and claw our way back to light, from the darkness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When this tragedy took place, you said you were blindsided. You had no idea?
None. No clue whatsoever. No signs, no note, nothing. Not before nor after.
So when a situation like that happens, and you said your whole world just went dark. I mean, you and your family just had to be completely numb.
We were numb. We were angry. We were shocked. We were saddened and depressed. I mean, it was just surreal. It was the best way I can put it. I mean, it was just not real to us. And, it took a long time, and we had professional help, which basically, for me, I mean, the psychiatry that I had saved my life. My parents had a good friend who was a psychiatrist. My brother sought help, my oldest brother. There were 3 of us. And it's the only way you can get through, with professional help and friends and family. I mean, we really stuck together and tried to fill the gap as best we could, because we knew that life goes on with us or without us, and my brother would not have wanted us to stop living. So, part of us would go on and live for him, and take him with us in spirit.
I have had several friends that committed suicide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And when I was in the ministry years and years ago, I sometimes would be called to officiate over the funeral of someone that committed suicide. Had a young man in our church. I think about that time he was 18 or 19. He took his life. And so the people that I know of and other people that suffered through this terrible tragedy, it always affected me to the point that I don't know how many times, Carl, I have sat down all by myself and I have pondered and I have wondered and I have asked myself, what was they thinking? What was they feeling the last few moments of their life? Who were they crying out for? What did I miss? And on and on and on. To this day, I have never found the answers to any one of my questions. Is that like normal?
I think that is normal because we've gone through it and have had exactly the same questions. What did we miss? What should we have seen? Was there a subtle sign that we didn't see? What could we have done? And what did we do wrong if we did anything wrong? But, as time goes on, you realize that you didn't do anything wrong and you didn't miss anything. Sometimes these people who do this have such a deep inner demon of some kind or another that they keep to themselves, and you just don't expect it. I mean, in today's world, kids, drug overdoses, or drug-induced suicides and things that, and you don't know why. I know there's a whole serious level of depression, and sometimes they can't see past that to go get help. And it's unfortunate because there is help out there. And I guess my message is that, if you see somebody that you know or love, family member, friend, who's not acting right, and then all of a sudden they're withdrawn or they're giving away their possessions or they're threatening to kill themselves, get them help. Call 911. What the worst you can do is embarrass them. You might save their life.
When someone takes their life, and those that's close to them, is it common that those folks that were closest to that individual blames themselves to some degree?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the first reactions. You don't know, not what you did or what you said, because it's probably not that simple, but the fact that you weren't able to perceive something was amiss, and that maybe you think you could have prevented it. I was on It's Your Call with Lynn Doyle a couple of years ago. I had suggested to her producer to do a show about suicide prevention and coping after suicide, and they jumped on it, and we had a great show. It was really difficult to go through it because it's, every time you do one of these things, it brings it all right back to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
Because these things just stay with you. They become emblematic of who you are. And we did this show, and I got calls from people and emails thanking me so much for sharing so much, of my experience with this, and that it was a great help. But in today's world, it needs more and more exposure because as this beast grows, the only thing that's going to knock it back on its socks is awareness and education.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that we're in fact, we are moving faster than a speeding bullet anymore, and we run right past people that are in need and people that are in pain, people that are hurting? My other question was always, was there a point? There had to be a point in their life that things became so dark. Hope was completely gone. Despair all those words. But when someone falls clear through the bottom and the end result is that they take their own life, I can't help but wonder, what were they feeling? Why didn't they say something? Or did they say something?
Well, there could have been a combination of things, that they were so far into that abyss of desolation, depression, that they really couldn't see beyond it. And whatever they had that was eating them from the inside out, they either couldn't or wouldn't verbalize. They might have been so mired in their own pain that they literally couldn't see past it. And I think that's a real issue. As I said today, with the organizations, there was an organization at that on that show. They had a couple of psychologists, and one of them was from an organization called Contact, and they were great. And they said, if you can get someone to talk to you for 10 minutes, you can usually talk them out of it. You can usually let them know that there's help out there for them. They're not alone. Their problems are not so insurmountable as they seem, and that they're loved. Because I think a lot of people just don't get that. They think they're really alone, and they're alone in their misery, and they're alone in the world, and they're really not.
What are some of the signs? Are there some signs that we can see?
There are some signs you can see, and some that you can't. And I think some of the signs that you can see are people just withdrawing. They're becoming antisocial. They're not part of a group anymore. If there was a whole circle of friends and all of a sudden they've dropped out, they're disinterested. They show no passion for anything. They stay locked up in their room or in their own house. They don't come out. Signs of depression. And when people start to give away their possessions that they were so enamored of and that they prized, that's a tell right there.
When the tragedy struck your family, you were 16?
I was 16, yeah.
And this was your younger brother or your older?
Older. He was 22.
Your parents, it in fact, it knocked everybody for a loop. But how did Mom and Dad react?
They were crushed. I mean, my father was the one who found my brother in the gallery, suspended from the rafters, and he was never the same after that. That was tough. He couldn't go back to the gallery for, a week or 2 weeks, and I remember the first time he came in, and just slammed that door, and he was enraged, and he was wearing sunglasses, and he just filled with anger, which is obviously the opposite side of sadness. I mean, they're the opposite sides of the same coin. And I mean, I can't even imagine, as a parent myself, I'd rather die than go through that.
Yes.
And my parents, for the longest time, my mom had just gotten out of the hospital having had a hysterectomy, days before. And she was recovering. And then, she had to deal with this. They had each other. They had us. And at one point, they said, my mother recounted this to me. They said, we've got 2 other children. We have to live for them, because they had kind of lost the will to live, understandably.
Right.
But they got it together enough, because of us. So in a way, I think we saved their lives, as they did ours.
Your family was cemented together with love. And do you ever think what would have happened if your family was fragmented before this ever took place? I mean, there's no way of us knowing, but did you ever think of that?
I did not, because I never had that experience, but I assume that if we had been fragmented before, this would just rip us apart completely. Or it could have pulled us together, but if a family's fragmented to begin with, and, an event like this, I can't imagine would do anything but would shatter them further.
I had a friend, or I have a friend, that not too many months ago, his brother took his own life. And when I talked to him, he's still trying to he's still trying to find his footing. Because every now and then you can sense the anger, the pain, the hurt, all the emotions that you faced, that you go through. And I listen to him, and it just breaks my heart when you guys. When did things start to come? I don't want to say normal, because I don't know if they ever get back to that. But when did things start to mend for your family?
I'm not really sure that I remember. I know it took a couple weeks before I could even go back to school, and you just kind of have to get back to life. I would say months. That you start to see a little bit of light, and as you get back into the daily rituals of living, you start to come back a little bit, but then the slightest little thing brings you right back to where you were. Somebody calls who didn't know. Somebody asks for your brother. Somebody says, I remember. You run into a friend of his, and, then it starts all over again. Mm-hmm. But it takes years. It really does. And, as I said before, you don't get over it. You only learn to live with it as best you can, because it becomes a part of your psyche. It's a life event that changed your life, and not something you can shed. You wear it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any comments or questions that you'd like to ask Carl, give us a call, 302-497-3414. That's 302-497-3414. Or if you have Skype, George.Espenlaub, Espenlaub. I was reading where your book can be used as a tool for people that have gone through such things. Could you explain that?
Yes. The two missions that I'm on are one, well, there are more than two, but the two main ones are, one, to reach out to people who may be on that edge of desperation, to try and get them to see that there's help out there for them. But the other segment of the population, and it's a pretty big segment, are those who have walked the same kind of path that I've walked, to let them know that we do survive. It's not an easy battle. I mean, it's a war that rages every day, and you go to battle every day you get up. But you have a choice. You have a choice of caving and giving in, or fighting and moving forward, and pushing those enemy lines back as far as you can every day, because you're going to get pushed back some days, and some days you're going to win. So it's an ongoing battle that you do, and there are tools, there's help, and it's really important for us to know as survivors that we have to survive. And so it's our God-given right to survive and to go on and to live. And sure, there's mixed emotions of guilt and sadness and pain and everything else, but you get a shot at being born in this world, and you got to make the best of it. And as my wife would say, every day is a gift, and that's why they call it the present.
Our society, this subject is almost like when you see a very, very bad car accident, and then you drive slow for the next, or at a sensible speed for the next 20, 25 miles, and then all of a sudden it starts to wear off, and then we're back up to the same old thing. Isn't it much like that with when people take their own lives? I mean, it strikes us, it knocks us for a loop, it spins us out of control, and then in a little while we move on about our business. I'm not talking about the families that are directly affected, but the other folks, the people outside the family. And then we move about our business, and I was going to take that course that they was going to teach us about suicide prevention, or I was going to zero in on that, or there was a speaker I was going to go to, but then I forgot all about it. We should be attending and looking and finding these tools that can help us, right?
Absolutely. because you never know who's in line next and who might try to take their life or whose life you might save. It only takes one word to maybe save somebody's life and to be there for somebody instead of, forgetting about it. I mean, sure, it's not an act that you want to remember. I don't want to remember it, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've decided to do something with my experience. I'm taking the darkest days of my life and paying it forward by reaching out to try and help somebody else. I kind of feel like Schindler, if I could have just saved one more. And if I'm armed with this experience, there must be a reason for it. There must be a grander reason, bigger than me. And I kind of feel like that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, I'm an art dealer. That's my profession. And I'm also a writer. But, I've got a message to get out there, and it's really important to me. I'm on a mission to save lives. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it. But you're right. People forget. I mean, and then they should move on with their lives, as should the families of, people who take their life. I wouldn't want to be mired in this my whole life and never exist, just subsist under all this, pain and suffering. Sure, it's there, but life is great. I mean, there are so many things out there to do and experience, and however many years I have, I want to live them to the fullest. It's what my father did. And unfortunately, he only lived 8 years after my brother took his life, and that's certainly understandable. He managed to get his smile back. He was flying again, and but it was all tinged with whatever damage he'd already incurred in a massive coronary, at the age of 58. I mean, who wouldn't?
Right.
Having lived through the loss of a child like that. And even with the help, he just, I think he just somewhere continued to blame himself for not seeing it. As you had mentioned earlier, people blame themselves. And I think my father really did. My mom lived to be 94. She just passed away a year and a half ago. And she was incredible, and she lived on and continued to raise the bar for us. But I think my father just couldn't have. I think he succumbed to the wound and did the best he could.
Broken heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Figuratively and literally.
What are some of the organizations that's out there that people can contact, not only for help themselves, but to help others?
Well, there are a number of national suicide hotlines. There is actually the National Hope Line Network, which is 1-800-SUICIDE. And there's a National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that is 1-800-273-TALK. There's a Youth America Hotline, which is 1-877-YOUTH-LINE. The Trevor Project, and the lists go on and on. There's a Vet-to-Vet Veterans Crisis Hotline, which is 1-877-VET-2-VET. It's Vet-to-Vet. And, that is something that I wanted to touch on at some point because the guys coming back today from war are so filled with this fog of war that a lot of them take their lives, and it's a shame because they really need help, and I don't know if they're getting it.
It is a shame. Do you get to speak at different places, like perhaps a college campus or anywhere? Do you get to take your message out?
Well, I'm trying to do that. That's why I'm doing all these radio and television interviews whenever I have the chance, and journal interviews. And I think the next step is actually to get on the campuses, college campuses, even high schools, because it's so prevalent in high schools as well. And to garner an audience that is receptive to it. And it's like 6 degrees of separation. Everybody knows somebody, either in their family or a friend, or knows of someone who committed suicide. And it's really. It's such an important issue today to reach out and try and help even one person who's contemplating it and change their mind. And I think that's the next step to make the time to do that. And I've hired a publicity firm to help me with that. And that's the other thing that I really want to get out there and do.
That's great. Speaking of our military men and women that's coming back, there's there's scars there that don't always come from shrapnel and rounds and the things that can do physical damage to us. There's some real inside pain and hurt. And I agree with you. I don't think our vets are getting the kind of help that they need. What do you think they need to do to help those men and women?
Well, I think when they come back, and even when they're over there, wherever there's a war, I think there needs to be a debriefing facility where they can just go sit and talk and try and let out what they've seen and get it out of them. It's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
One a day in the military, suicide, and 22 vets a day. I mean, that's an insane number. And to me, it's just that it should not be. These guys go over there, they put their lives on the line for us, for our freedom, and they come back and they're lost. They come back and they've got, as I said, this fog of war, which is it's a real serious issue. It's not just post-traumatic stress syndrome. It's worse, and unless they get the help, they're never going to get over it. I mean, the nightmares and the tremors and the feelings of just being so isolated and so lost when they come back into our civilization. And I think that there really needs to be a serious program for guys in the military when they come back, to reorient them and to help them, to learn how to live again.
Yeah, because the Vietnam vets that came back, I don't know how many of them that I know, but they would never talk about it. You could sit beside a fella on a bar stool, and he spent time in Nam, you spent time in Nam, and neither one of you knew that either one of you spent time in Nam. We wouldn't talk about it. We just wouldn't talk about it. Number one, everybody looked at you like you're half crazy if they knew that you were in Vietnam. And so you had nobody. And we know of all the tragedies that took place back then. These men and women, like you said, lay it all on the line, and they definitely need someone just to sit down and empty out. I liked what you said. You said it was toxic. I guess that's the best I've ever heard. That's the best way that I've ever heard it described. It's toxic. And I guess anyone that's contemplating suicide, whatever's in there is toxic too, right?
Yep, absolutely. And if that stays in there, it festers, and you have no way to control it. It winds up owning you, and that's not a good thing. If somebody's got a cancer, I mean, you go get it fixed. You get it out of your system somehow. You don't just let it fester. So this, comparable to a disease, and it's a mental illness. It's an imbalance of nothing else, but enough that it can kill you.
Carl, do you think that our culture is insensitive, more insensitive now than it used to be?
In part, yes. I think that there's such a disconnect in today's generation. Nobody even picks up the phone anymore and talks. Everybody's texting, and they don't talk. I mean, I see these kids at dinner in restaurants with their families, and their heads are buried in their things, texting each other, or in their phones, texting or playing games, and it's just like, what's wrong with this world anymore? I mean, I think that the family has suffered so that that's a big problem in the social world today. And talk about social media. It's kind of an anti-social media. I mean, nobody talks, which is one of the great joys. I mean, when we were raising our kids, every night we'd come home, we'd sit down to dinner together. TV was off, no games, nothing, and we would say, what'd you do today? How was your day? And tell us about your day. And we did that with the kids. My wife would do that when I came in the door. I asked her how her day was, and we had an open communication, which I think is very important, by the way. I think communication is key, and that leads back to emptying out these toxins. If somebody's got some, the other thing, the ravages of war leave such a scar. It's so ugly and so violent sometimes that you can't talk about it. Mm-hmm. It's just, you don't want to relive it. It's ugly, and it's just sometimes unbearable. But somehow you've got to get somebody to pull that out of you, and I think that the military owes it to the military, to the soldiers. The government owes it to the military to take care of these guys when they come home. I mean, don't turn your backs on them like you did in Vietnam. As I mentioned before, they didn't even call that a war. It was a conflict, so that Congress didn't declare it a war. They didn't have to pay benefits. They didn't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's harsh, and that's wrong.
These young people, and we've all heard or followed some of the cases where people on the social media platforms such as Facebook, so on and so forth, the little girl that was bullied and she took her own life, and these things that are taking place with our young teens, our teenagers, kids in middle school and high school. Kids can be, in fact, all people can be vicious and cruel at times, but it just seems like not everyone, but there's too many people in our society that gets a big kick out of coming down on somebody and belittling them and bullying them and pushing them around. And sometimes there's some bad results, such as those that take their life, right?
Right, absolutely. And I think that people that prey on other people like that, no, they aren't just cruel. I think it's criminal and it's disgusting. And they should be made to be accountable for things like that. I mean, that's a sad waste of life when someone bows to that kind of criticism and bullying and pressure. I mean, it's so wrong in so many ways. I can't even begin to describe it. But it's infuriating, and I see these things, these chat rooms where there are people encouraging other people to kill themselves. I mean, that's sick. I mean, That's really insane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I mean, what's wrong with these people that do that? They perpetrate these horrible stimuli on other people they fall victim to it.
When you and I were growing up, we had, and I tell everybody, if you're looking for someone that is politically correct, don't look for me, because I'm just not there. Never been there, never done that, not going to do it, never will do it. But back in our day, we had a remedy for those bullies and those clowns that thought there was everything in a bag of chips. It was called the schoolyard.
Yep.
And we'd straighten that out in a heartbeat. And we wouldn't have no more problems with that dude or that guy. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
But because of the society, the culture we live in now, you just can't bust nobody up the snoot no more and straighten them out, because then you're the guy that gets in trouble.
Right. That's a little perverse. I mean, I think the old schoolyard system of justice was great. You take it to the streets take care of themselves, and that's the end of the problem.
Yeah, it worked. I mean, it worked wonders. I saw transformations, that instant transformations that you thought would never come to pass, but somehow that schoolyard and the streets have a magical substance to them that changes someone.
Yeah, they do. They have the street rules of their own, and everything's fine if you just leave it be. But you get too many, you're right, the politically correct nonsense that gets in the way, of the right kind of justice, which just foments the problem.
When you wrote your book, you mentioned your father, and then you was telling us that when you're writing it, your wife said there's got to be the emotion, so you went back and cracked at it again.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find that to be good therapy?
I did. Oddly enough, it was cathartic. Difficult as it was, it just let me vent my feelings. I went through the rest of high school. I was in 12th grade when this all happened, and I wound up going to Temple University, which was like the next step out of Central High School, which is where I went to high school. And, because in those days you either went to Temple, you went to Penn State, or you went to work. Unless you were really like brainchild, you went to some Ivy League school. Well, we didn't do that, and we couldn't afford to do that anyhow. But so I went to Temple I was there for 2 years. I was really struggling. You know, there was a part of me that just didn't give a damn. I was not focused, and I was just still trying to rebuild my life. So, you know, you asked before, how long does it take? And I said, well, this was like 2 years later even, and I was still suffering. So I got thrown out of school because I was not really not really the student that I should have been, but understandably. So I got reinstated. My father reinstated me. My grade point average slipped just a tad, but it was below minimum, so they threw me out. And my father said, he goes with me and gets me reinstated and says, all right, you're in, now you're out. We're pulling you out. We're going to put you in a smaller school. So I wound up going to Oglethorpe College in Atlanta, which had about 1,200 kids instead of, I don't know how many, 30,000 or whatever Temple was at the time. And, I was determined to show my parents that I was going to do it right this time. And I wound up on the Dean's List in Spanish Honor Society, and I became a writer, and I got a part-time job outside of school, and I really hustled. But I was still living with this thing inside me, and it would eat me up. And, at one point, I actually, in my mind, created a scenario that my brother was still alive somewhere, but he was on an undercover mission in the military somewhere overseas, whatever, and, I just made it unreal. And after a while, I started to get symptoms of feeling unreal. I would leave my body, and it was not a comfortable feeling at all. I mean, I would really get anxiety-ridden. And, when I got home from school, I talked to my parents, and I said, I just don't feel well. Something's not right. I couldn't admit what it was, and I couldn't really talk to them about it because I didn't want to upset them. And they saw what I was going through and had the heads up to get me a psychiatrist to get some help. And I had some meds to get me through temporarily, some anti-anxiety stuff at the time, just enough to quell it, but it still didn't do it. So I went into a much deeper therapy. I went into a psychoanalysis. When the guy I was seeing, he said I'm a great candidate for psychoanalysis, I freaked out because all I could think of was, oh my God, I must be really sick. Well, it turns out that you have to be really intelligent and you have to be really emotionally capable to go through a psychoanalysis because it's 4 days a week, an hour a day, or an hour and a half, whatever it is. And it's intense. And it's basically, as a doctor had explained to me, taking a tight ball of twine and taking off one layer of string at a time until you get to the core, and then the ghosts of the past become the ancestors of the future. It just evaporates. So as I went through it, and it took 4 years, but it saved my life. It taught me how to cope and how to deal and how to stay in touch with my emotions, and when they come up, what to do with them. You've got to feel these emotions, because if you don't, the emotional body runs the physical body. There is no question about that. And I don't care what anybody says. If your emotions are screwy, your physical body's going to suffer symptoms. Something's going to happen. It's going to get you. So you have to stay on top of your emotions. You have to deal with them. And my wife will remind me of this once in a while when I shut things out because I don't want to feel them. But and then it comes back. The tears come out, and I feel better, and I can function.
When they were taking that great big ball of yarn apart, were there times that you became angry at the therapist, or angry at yourself, angry with everybody, angry with everything, and you wanted to just leave and not come back?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lots of times, and that's when you're really on the brink of a breakthrough. When you're at an impasse, or your emotions are going haywire, and you're angry at everybody, and you're just disgusted, and you don't want to come back. And that's usually when you have a breakthrough, because those feelings get analyzed, and you realize what it is that you're angry with, or who you're angry with, and then you can sift through it and sort through it and deal with it, and relegate those feelings where they belong. So when they come up again, you're aware of what's causing them and the situation behind it, so that you can deal with it and not let it fester and not keep it hidden.
So they wasn't putting a Band-Aid on this thing. They was dismantling you from from the outside all the way to the inside, huh?
Yep, absolutely. Because a Band-Aid doesn't work.
When you went to Temple and you had to come out, and did your dad sit you down and say, "Hey, look, Carl, I know what you're going through. We all hurt." Did he say anything such as that?
Yeah, he knew, and we had an open communication, and yeah, he did. He expressed himself and said, "You're going to be okay. This is something we've all got to deal with." And look, the gap was there. There was a gaping hole in all our lives for years, but we still had each other. And I don't know how we would have survived without each other, but yeah, we were pretty open about it. I mean, we didn't talk about it initially after it happened because it was too painful, and we were concerned about, our parents' feelings, and they were concerned about our feelings. Mm-hmm. So there was sort of a vacuum there for a bit, but then we started to talk about it. We recounted all the good experiences and the good times, we had with Bruce, and we would keep him alive that way, because you can't kill spirit. That right. I know for sure. It goes on no matter what. And thank God for that, because we don't end here. We're just supposed to do the best we can here, and if we don't, we're allowed to come back and have to do it again. But so it'll sound really weird, but I've had messages from my brother and messages from my father and signs and all that kind of thing. And once you've had one of those, you become a believer real quick. Mm-hmm. It's very comforting.
When you were saying about if we don't get it right, you got to come back and do it again. I don't know how many times I've been back here trying to get things right. There's some things, Carl. I've been working on a long time in different places. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And I try. I just can't get it right. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know. But anyhow,
it's a process. It's not an overnight thing.
Carl, I believe you're a very courageous man, and I know you're a humble man. And if I say that you're courageous, you're going to say you're not courageous. But you're courageous in the fact that you would empty out yourself for the benefit of all other people that may have went through this or they will go through this. And I think that's courageous. And I tip my hat to you. I commend you from my heart, because I don't know, there's not a whole lot of people that could sit down and empty themselves out, pour themselves out in order that they could help other people. And I really believe that somewhere down the road, someone's going to walk up and say, "You know something, Carl?" If they haven't already. "You know something, Carl? I was on the verge of taking my life. But I came in contact with you. I read your book. I heard about you, something or another. And you're going to light up. You're going to light up." And I pray for you. I promise you'll be in my prayers. Our family will pray for you. You are on a mission. You are on a mission. And if I can do anything to help you, anything at all, please get a hold of me, and I'll do everything I can.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you, and I appreciate your kind words. And, just having me on tonight, who knows who might hear us and change their mind and decide to choose to live instead of choosing to die. And I don't need to know. I mean, if I ever find out, that's fabulous, and that's great. But as my wife has told me, you may never know. Mm-hmm. And she's right. I may never know. And it doesn't matter. I've cast that stone out onto the water, causing a ripple that will go on and on and on and on. And, I've got two goals that I haven't achieved yet, but I will somehow, some way, and sometime. I want to get the book made as mandatory reading in every high school in America.
Oh, that'd be great.
And then worldwide, because I think that's the target market. And then I want to have a film made, whether it's a documentary, a short film, or a major feature. I think that we live in a very visual world. Kids today don't always read, but if they saw a movie about a great American family that almost fractured completely, but survived, this horribly traumatic event, excuse me, I think would have a hell of an impact. I really do. So, and people said, "Wow, did you, what are your royalties like on the book?" And I said, "You know what? I have no idea. I don't care if I never get a royalty. I didn't do it for that reason. It's not the money. I mean, if this thing were to create huge royalties and I could start a foundation, great. That's one thing. But I'm not doing this for me. It's not who I am. And as I said before, being armed with this experience, I've got to do something with it. It'd be a sin not to have this kind of experience and not put it out there where I might save even one life, and to me, that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
But I really can't thank you enough for having me on tonight and for your kind words. And, if anybody who's listening out there, don't take your life because you take your family with you. There's help out there for you. You are definitely loved, and you're not alone. And as bad as tomorrow seems, the day after will be better. As bad as today is, tomorrow is going to be better. There's always another day, and there's help out there for you. You're just not alone.
And ladies and gentlemen, friends, Romans, countrymen, and anyone else that'll listen to me, hey, that high school, that mandatory reading in the high schools, that struck a chord with me in that documentary. Let's get out there, and whether you listen to this show live tonight or you go back and listen to it in the archives over and over and over again, tell somebody about it. That is a tremendous, tremendous mission that we can all get involved in. Bader Field by Carl. Now remember, Carl David. I'm not trying to insult you, Carl, but just remember he has two first names, Carl David. That way you'll get it. At least that's how I remember it. Bader Field by Carl David. Contact your school, your Board of Education. Somebody, just start dropping a dime here and there and telling people about it and see what happens. Let's help Carl get this message out. Let's do our part. Maybe we can help somebody along the way. Carl, before you go,
yes,
you're writing some articles, right?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I have become a contributing journalist to a website called groundreport.com. It's www.groundreport.com. It's a vetted service so that what you put up there has to be approved. So far, I've had about 5 or 6 articles that have been approved. I've done a couple on suicide survival and coping. I've done some political things, and I've been told that I shouldn't do that. That that could jeopardize me as an art dealer or whatever. And I said, you know what? They said that in Nazi Germany too. And if more people had been outspoken and fought, then maybe we wouldn't have lost 6 to 12 million people. And I don't care. I take that chance. And as you said before, politically correct, sure, in certain circles, but other times when I can have a say and put my real feelings out there, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't care. I really don't. I mean, these things have to be said. The government corruption and everything else, these things need to be exposed or they'll continue.
Exactly.
So I'm a fighter.
That old saying, silence is golden. Silence will get you killed.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So, and I've told people, old big mouth Espinwald down here. I tell people, stand up, shout it from the rooftops. Man, stand up. That's what America needs. We need our backbone straightened up. Stand up, hold your head high, stand on the principles, stand on the Constitution, and don't be afraid of anything or anybody, and we'll get somewhere.
That's exactly right. If you don't, you lose. And we can't, as Americans, we can't afford that. We're founded on the precepts and principles of freedom, and a lot of people lost their lives for that freedom, and to just sit back and take that casually, that's downright un-American.
Mm-hmm. Carl, where's your art gallery in Philly?
We're just off of Rittenhouse Square at 18th and Spruce, 260 South 18th Street. We've been there since 1960, and we have an arrangement of American and European 17th through 21st century original paintings, drawings, watercolors, and sculptures, and we welcome anyone's visit. we don't charge to come in. We don't charge to get out. So,
That's good.
people look at us and say, well, I don't know, I wonder if they charge admission to come in there, because it's a little formidable, with the columns up front and the colonial window, but we're really super user-friendly. And, just like you and I are talking tonight, that's who we are, and we're there to educate people and help people, and that's it. I mean, I'm there normally 6 days a week, sometimes 7, although in the summers we're trying to take a couple of days off now and again. So...
Maybe sometime soon, because we're not too far away from you, Mom and I will drop in and see how you're doing.
Would love for you to do that. Welcome to visit. Give me a call first. I'll make sure that I'm there.
I'll do that. Thank you so much, Carl.
Oh, George, thank you. It's my pleasure, and I hope we've done some good out there. And it only takes one person to change their mind and go for yes instead of no.
You're right. God bless you. Stay in touch with me.
Will do. You as well. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Great individual, ladies and gentlemen. A man who's been there, done that. Mr. Carl David. I've got to get myself together here for a minute, so I'll be back after this. All righty, I'm back. Just had to take a few seconds there. You know what I'm saying? Listen, go to Carl, write this down, or go to it while you're on your listening device, whatever you're doing. CarlEDavid.com. CarlEDavid.com. And there you'll be on his website. And it is a right nifty website. CarlEDavid.com. There you can read all about it. You can read about Carl. You can read about the book. You can read about the galleries. He's even got Carl's Corner. That's pretty cool. You can contact him. And there's different interviews there that he's been on and in. So CarlEDavid.com. CarlEDavid.com. And we thank him for being with us tonight. The man is definitely on a mission. Join me tomorrow night, because tomorrow night, the young lady from New Orleans, Louisiana will be with us. Alexis Aiken will be here. 17 years young, sings like an angel, has already won more awards than you can shake a stick at, but she'll be with us tomorrow night. She'll be talking her passion, which is music. She'll be telling us her story, what her goals are, what aspirations she has, talk about her family, her friends, and all those things. And we'll be playing her music in between our talking, like we always do. So tune in tomorrow night as we bring Alexis Aiken. There I go, trying to think and talk at the same time. Sometimes I'm going to, I'm trying to talk and think. Is it think and talk or talk and think? But whatever it is, whichever way it goes, someday I'm going to quit doing that, and I'm just going to, do whatever I'm supposed to do whenever I'm supposed to do it. So join me tomorrow night, Alexis Aiken, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Spreaker.com on the George Espinlab Show. And I know you will be glad that you did. Remember last night when we showcased Michael Callahan's music, and then Mike called in and we talked for a few minutes? Well, we've set the date, Thursday, June 20th. That's Thursday, June 20th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Michael Calloway will be with us, and we will talk with Mike. We'll play his music. We'll talk some more. We'll play his music, just like we do with all the artists that we bring on. We showcase their music, and we listen to their story. So that is June the 20th. That's a Thursday night. And June 13th, 14th, and 15th, we will be live at, what's the name of the place? Charlie, what's the name of the place? Thank you. Tall Pines, Virginia. We'll be live at Tall Pines, Virginia. For those 3 nights, we'll be doing the show from Tall Pines, Virginia. So if you're down that way, and as the date gets a little bit closer, we'll give you some more information. Come on in and be with us. And I can't promise you exactly what will happen, but I can promise you that we'll have fun. So join us 13th, 14th, 15th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Virginia. No, Tall Pines. Charlie, write that down so I can stick it up here somewhere. All right. Tall Pines, Virginia. All right. Tall Pines, Virginia. Oh, boy. All right. Everybody on the outside, everybody on the inside here inside the studio, and wherever you might be out there, kick it back if you're sitting on it. Push it over if you're sitting on it. Get up off of it if you're sitting on it. And move it.
Hey man, wanna tell you about a bayou where the water don't flow and that alligator go, that swamp thing beside you. First in line and the last to go, yeah, don't you know? Ain't no charge for living large, hey, don't be late, it's gonna be a show. Skinny Remus got the swamp boat, Remus Tucker got the swamp boat, Big Otis got the beer and bait, Uncle Otis got the beer and bait. Gonna bring Miss Taylor Twine, what'd it say? We stay out late. Alligator got fish toad, no banjo. He got the drum player, son of a gun, and Mozo got the mojo. Everybody sings and we all play a melody. All joined in, it ain't no sin. If you're gonna sing, sing harmony. Skinny Remus got the swamp boat, Remus Tucker got the swamp boat, Big Otis got the beer and bait, Uncle Otis got the beer and bait. Gonna bring Miss Taylor Twine, what say? We stay out late. Cletus, he don't use no compass. He used the light from the fireflies to guide the swamp bus. Sun comes up, I'm gonna close my eyes, gonna sleep all day. Gonna rest up good like I know I should. Gonna get ready, go out and play. Come on! Skinny Remus got the swamp boat. Remus Tucker got the swamp boat. Big Otis got the beer and bait. Uncle Otis got the beer and bait. Come bring me Stella Twi. What I say? Gonna stay out late.
One night next week, we will have, we will have a man, we'll have a man on by the name of Daryl Shalai from Down Under. He'll be coming to us from Down Under. He'll be talking to us up here. He'll be talking to us from Australia. Daryl Shalai, who was at one time in the Rhodesian military, and he's got some comparisons and some things that he's going to talk to us about. So you don't want to miss that. That'll be one night next week. On Thursday night, I'm not even going to say the man's last name because I tore it up last night and I felt so bad about it. So I'm going to call him, I'm going to use his first name, Pierre. Pierre. And when he comes on Thursday night, he can straighten me up so I can say his last name, at least represent it better than I did last night. But he is an international lawyer, and he will be with us from South Africa. So Thursday night, he'll be with us from South Africa. Next week, we'll have Daryl with us from Down Under. What was it? A couple weeks ago, we had Marva from Down Under, and then we had a gentleman from London that was with us, and Harry from Ireland, and Graham from Parma, Italy, and Cliff Stevens from Morocco. Oh, we get them from all over the world, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to keep on bringing them in so we can make you think and be enlightened and entertained here on the George Espinlove Show. So tune in. It's getting gooder and gooder all the time. Speaking of Harry Burke, I mentioned him quite a bit, but go to Spreaker.com and then type in there the Swingin' 60s Show. I heard Harry, you know that old song, I Did It My Way? I heard Harry sing on a radio show today Tuesday, yeah. I heard Harry sing I Did It My Way, and he sang it his way today, Tuesday, on the radio show. And right off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of what the radio show was that he was on, but I can't remember. I'll find out, and I'll post it up on Facebook or on the show page somewhere. But Harry, if you're listening tonight, of course it is, it's like 1:46 a.m. in the morning over there in Ireland. But when you listen to this later on tomorrow, I think you did a fine, fine job, sir. And if you're ever looking for a music agent, look me up. You and I can go a long way. You got a tremendous imagination, Harry, and I appreciate the effort. Speaking of Marva from Down Under, here's the young lady singing, I Am the Sun.
to everything I touch, and I'll share stories from in and out of time. From this view, I'll see the distance, only wind playing with the sky. And if you break into that part of me, I'll feel nothing, and we'll leave nothing undone. And as I become you, you become too. From this view, we'll see in the distance, only wind playing with the sky. And he says, I am the sun. And you are the one. You are letting a million. You're bringing hope to everything you're touching now. And as I become you, you become too. And he says, I am the sun. And you are the one. I am the soul. And you are the one.
And that was Marva from Down Under. I Am the Sun. Remember, go to carledavid.com. There you can read an excerpt, I get it, from his book. Go to amazon.com. You can get it in Kindle. You can get it in the soft cover, the hardback. You can get it most anywhere. Barnes and Nobles. You can get it on the Nook and all those good things. But go to Carl's website and read all the interesting things there. That is carledavid.com. Now, it is what, Charlie? Maybe. You find it. It's all you. I don't know why you're asking me. you run it anyhow. Okay. All right. Here's some crazy song that Charlie found down in alley.com or musicalley.com. I think we started playing this one night, and then we took a phone call or something. But the No Facebook app.
A Facebook friend I know was playing Song Papa. He asked me if I'd join him in a game. He'd send me requests and I would beg him to stop, 'cause all these online challenges are lame. And I said, no, I don't play them no more. Those Facebook games are really a bore. Don't ask again to play me words with friends or help your stupid farmland shore. A lady friend I know just sent a birthday request. I clicked on it, which really was a shame. The next thing I knew, well, it had rifled right through my address book, which had 10,000 names. And I said, no, I don't no more, or take part in your mafia war. I'm perfectly fine not digging diamond mines or helping with your stupid farmland chore. I learned the way to block these Facebook requests. It's all thanks to my lovely fiancée. On Twitter we met, and I will certainly bet she's real no matter what the people say. And I said, no, I don't play them no more. I'm much more busy now than before, wiring these funds to my beloved one and a secret bank account offshore.
Dearest, very good.
And I said, no, I don't play them no more. Those Facebook games are really a bore. Don't ask again to play me words with friends or help you with your stupid farmland chore. Wonder if MySpace has gotten any better.
We'll take you from where you are to where you wanna be. 'Cause radio works. The radio works. We'll take you from where you are to where you wanna be. 'Cause radio works. Radio works.
Yeah, it do. Radio works. Trust me, it does. It works. It really does work. Radio works. I was stuck there like a broken record. Wow. There, I lost it again. I lost it. This is happening to me more and more all the time. I forget what I was going to say, and it was right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, somebody help me. Somebody out there help me. Please help me. I don't know what I was going to say now. But anyhow, when you can't find something to say, when you forget what you was going to say,
Sweet tea drinking, country singing, wildfire picking, kind of girl I'm a cut off a wearing, never caught swearing, bareback or riding, kind of girl. Pretty and pink, but dangerous and camo, daddy sharpshooter and mama's little angel, four-wheel riding, southern belle, bless her heart, Alabama kind of girl. Barefoot running, golf course sunning, tractor riding, kind of girl. I'm a choir singing, Bible reading, thankful Lord I'm that kind of girl. Pretty and pink, but dangerous and camo, daddy sharpshooter and mama's little angel, four-wheel riding, southern belle, bless her heart, Alabama kind of girl. They aren't from down here if they didn't say God bless ya. You know you're always welcome and you'll never be a stranger. 'Cause we're all pretty and
Now take a trip over there to Amazon.com and type in Bader, B-A-D-E-R, Bader Field by Carl David. Bader Field, B-A-D-E-R, F-I-E-L-D by Carl David. And get the book. Remember, you can get it in the Kindle form. You put this back over here. And you can get it through Barnes & Nobles and the Nook and so on and so forth. So, Bader Field, B-A-D-E-R, Field, by Carl David. Do yourself a favor and enjoy the book and help someone along the way. I know what I was going to say. When we were playing that No Facebook app song, well, I was thinking, I don't play the games, but I'll tell you what aggravates me more than anything else on Facebook. And that is the birthday dooflicky. I don't know what you call it. I call it the birthday dooflicky. But you talk about somebody getting bent and twisted out of shape. I am that person because I don't care how I do it, what I do, or when I do. Somehow I can get into that birthday thing and I can't find my way out. And it's always asking me the same thing. So, you know what I did? I just quit. I just said I'm not going to mess with this no more because me and this thing, whatever it's called, just we can't coexist. So if I haven't sent you any birthday wishes or said happy birthday to you, I apologize for that. But if I got to go by that birthday dooflicky there on Facebook, count me out because it just sends me out of control. I don't know. There's some people that, I watch them do it on their phone, and I watch them do it on their computer, and it don't look like they have any problems, none whatsoever. But boy, when I get in there, I get all twisted up. It won't let me come back out. I got X out and go here and go there, come back in, the whole 9 yards. So happy birthday. Everybody that's had birthdays this year thus far, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. And as we move along into the future, I will continue to say happy birthday to all you that had birthdays. Thank you. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's simply at POPPOPX7. If you want to follow me on Facebook, just look me up. I'm not hard to find, and you'll see me there. We have a show page there, and all the so-called things. Where else is there? Twitter and that, and we're on. We tumble over it and we stumble upon it, and all those other places where you can put stuff. We're out there, and we're putting stuff everywhere. So follow me on Twitter at PopUpX7. I have no clue, no idea of where I am going, but you can follow me. We'll go somewhere, all right? Charlie, do you see the train coming? Uh-huh. Yeah. It's almost time, ladies and gentlemen, because I see the caboose. The train come around the corner, and now I see the caboose, and we're going to have to make a jump for it. When was it? I had to jump all by myself the other night. Charlie's here tonight. He can jump with me. So, Charlie, get ready, because we're going to jump. I want to thank everyone that came with us tonight, hung out with us. I especially want to say thanks to Carl David. And please go to Amazon.com. Bader Field by Carl Davis. Bader, B-A-D-E-R, Field by Carl Davis. Tomorrow night, we will have Alexis Aiken with us, and you'll just love her music. If you haven't heard any of it prior to tomorrow night, you will definitely hear her. Thursday night, Pierre will be with us from South Africa. Friday night, anything can happen on Friday night, and we'll try to tighten you up about what's going on there on Friday night. Next week, we've got another great lineup, and send us some email. We appreciate everyone that's been sending emails. Send us some more. George C.E., that's George C.E. at Comcast.net, and we thank you for it in advance, and we will answer you back. I want to say hello to my good friend Dr. Titus. I call him Dr. T, up there in New Hampshire. I hope you're well. I hope the family's well, and give them my regards. To all of our friends down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, stop that, and around the world, I thank you. I thank you for tuning in and being with us one more time. I'm trying to get this closed up here, but Charlie won't let me alone. So anyhow, wherever you're at, ladies and gentlemen, if it's nighttime, have a great night. If it's already daytime, have a good day. Regardless of where you are and what it is, till tomorrow night. Same time, same station, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Spreaker Network. This is George Espinlaub challenging you. Be kind one to another. Don't take no wooden nickels. And please stay safe. God bless you. Good night, everybody.